which shouldn't take. And we are now live. Good morning, everyone. It is our last guided meditation of this month. Now, I'm going to wait for just a second because YouTube always gets a little delayed in terms of notifications for everything. So, excellent. That's already up. Sweet. Now, I want to say welcome. Today is the last meditation for August. Now, this is a little bit more of an intimate meditation. And when I mean intimate, I mean intimate for yourself. This is going to be a kind of a deep dive in your observation. It's going to be a focus on not only everything we've kind of worked on in the sense of building the space and the ability to recognize the distance between the thoughts and emotions that we have and our true sense of self, the consciousness, this me that perceives them. And with anything that we're going to be doing, it's all about really getting to that space and point of recognition where you start to see that every thought, every emotion, every physical sensation has some space in between that. That it's not such an immediate, loud, and intense thought that's completely controlling your consciousness. It's more something that it may be a loud thought, but you're looking at it, you're listening to it. So, like with everything that we've been doing, it's always just a constant refinement process, peeling away these layers of what we think we are, what we perceive ourselves to be, and ultimately how we free ourselves so we can really see what we are, our pure selves. So we can really live life without the conditionings, without the trauma, without the past pains, without the memories, without all these different things that plague us, that hinder our present moment. So, as with everything, just find a comfortable space. It's definitely important that you're relaxed for this meditation. And per usual, we'll start with our three bell hits, which are coming from a mini Tibetan singing bowl. Now, I got a copyright strike. Someone tried to claim that this was their audio. This is just future for people. That's how greasy YouTube can be. We're just out here putting out meditations so people can enhance their lives. And someone has an algorithm out there to spot bells as part of their beat. But you just gotta laugh with life, guys. What's good, Tade? Early morning. Had some people on Instagram Live. So again, we're just starting out with those three bells, and then from here we're just gonna kind of dive deep and sink into our true self. So if you can, just find a nice position, relax, just sit, and allow yourself to just let go. This morning's all about exploring our inner self from a state of stillness, from a state of just witnessing, relaxing, watching ourselves. Watching our thoughts and our emotions like cats and dogs watch birds and squirrels through a window. Allow yourself to let go. Let go of the expectations. Let go of the preconditioned thoughts, the ideologies and beliefs you hold to be so firmly set. We must always come to question what we know, because more often than not, we'll be shown via life the truth and limit of our actual knowing. Just as when we were children, many believed Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy were real. Many believed in all of these outlandish stories told to be true. And in our youth, in our ignorance, our lack of knowing, we fully believe that this is truth in our reality. So come to question your own validity, the truth of your own being. Are you really the mannerisms you express? Are you fully the conditionings and sensations you act upon? Or are you more than that? The body may have aged and changed through time, but this subtle sense of self, this me, this I in which we all feel, this window of awareness, of consciousness, of pure experiencing and witnessing, does it go unchanging? Isn't that the only aspect of ourself, the sense of me and I, that has never changed? Sure, what we describe ourselves to be in the states of emotion, whether you're sad or happy, or you have things to do, tasks and actions required upon you, or even your body and your ideology. You once believed this, now you believe that. You once thought this was true, now you believe this to be true. You can see the I remains standing, untouched, untarnished. It is simply everything else we associate with it that changes. This is the subtlety of our living, of our true existence that constantly goes over our head, and the importance and the deepest meaning of how that actually is. If this were numbers, the I, our sense of me and self, is a zero. Nothingness, stillness, silence, pure experiencing and witnessing. But as we also know of numbers, like multiplication, zero cannot be used or it will result in zero. So the numbers, one, two, three, serve as thoughts, serve as mind, serve as emotions. It is the consciousness itself that views them. Only then can you actually have a multiplication problem. Consciousness is like a screen. Life is the film and light shining upon it. Sure, without the screen, the lights will still be seen, but the image won't be seen. Just as with life, the show can't go on unless you arrive. Do you remember if you're not present for the experience? And from your sense of understanding and experiencing, life doesn't happen. But as many of us have experienced and come to know in our youth, you can live life and black out, as we call it. And the body may wander, but the consciousness will be gone. You see, what we are is higher than just the body, beyond the form. In fact, it is the controller of the body. So do not forget your true position. You are the observer of this reference frame, of this being you call me. But you are one of many souls looking from the same point of silence. Sink deeper into your heart, where you feel love, where you feel your sadness, because our emotions are at the root of our being. For our true position in this life is not the mind, it's the heart. And when you begin to simply allow yourself to marinate and live fully in life, you live there. That warmness, that light in your chest, allowing it to radiate. And simply put, allowing yourself to witness it. A detachment from the mind, from thoughts, and the emotions they evoke. Stilling the body and the sensations within to simply watch and listen, just as passionately and absorbed as we do when we watch an amazing film that captivates us. So too must we be captivated by our own being. Come to recognize that the constant chattering within you is habit alone. For when we are children, we're all isolated and left alone, and our imagination becomes our friend. And in truth, it is your friend. But the combination of not knowing your true being and the body loving its toy, we suffer. But ultimately, it is because of misidentification. So we must come to understand and know ourselves as this stillness, this internal silence, this sphere filled with infinite eyes and ears. When you shift your affection towards the silence, thoughts drop away. And as you raise your vibration, as you raise your focus and your affection towards this still knowing of self, you immerse yourself in the presence and the aroma of your pure being. If you find yourself overwhelmed with thought, realize this is its last call, its last plea for life. For the mind will fight back, the body will fight back, the emotions will fight back because what child wants to give up its brand new toy or its favorite toy if you don't consider yourself brand new? We must understand in the grand scheme of things, these lives we live are fractions of a snap on a cosmic scale. But through this search, you can come to know yourself as the timeless, the eternal, the light and love that shines forth through all, as all. Allow yourself to simply rest. See your thoughts from a position of otherness, Hear your emotions, the sensations, as that otherness. Come to know yourself without all of these changing things, and anchor yourself in it, root yourself in it, fall in love with it. When we learn to fall in love with the silence within ourselves, the rest of the world settles down. And we recognize, look at that which what we are, without the attachments and identifications and concepts. We are left with a vast, expansing, ever growing space within us. And as you sink deeper into this space, it becomes borderless. When you close your eyes, where does the body begin and end? Through such looking, you can dissolve such barriers with ease. Shift your attention towards this silent witness, this sense of self, and silently, meticulously observe it. Observe your sense of silent observation. If thoughts come, let them go. If emotions come, let them rise and fall. And if the body wants to move, tell it later. Don't allow the body to become restless because you are close. You are close to seeing what you truly are. And the ego may fear this. The ego may be tension filled, but allow it to drop away, for you are close. The more rebellious the internal environment becomes is a sign and indicator that you are quickly approaching, moving beyond it. For it's like a child gripping to the earth when they don't want to come inside. You must start seeing yourself from the position of power in which you hold. You are not a slave to the body, the mind, or the emotions. You are its owner, its guardian. And this body will do what you tell it to. The mind will silence itself when you will it to be. And the heart will radiate nothing but love when you tell it. But this can only be known when you see yourself as something more than just the thoughts inside you. You come to witness yourself as something beyond just a body. And more often not, we already have. I actually tell each person we already are that which we seek because it's true. But you must allow yourself to see it. You must be willing, you must be brave enough to see it, to fully come to know that we don't know much in life. So come to discover the only thing that each of us can fully know ourselves, and only know ourselves. The origin of this me, of this true self. This is the search, this process of awakening. It's coming to understand that our entire life has been lived from a position of observation, how we learn, how we grow. In truth comes from observation. And as we've all experienced in the classroom, it doesn't matter the teacher, it doesn't matter what words are said and spoken, what actions are made. You must simply come to see life from the knowing that we only know when we know. We must figure out and determine what is truth within. No one else can decide that. And it's something that each of us has the power to do, to go beyond the classroom, to be your own teacher and student and topic of observation and learning. You are that which is unchanging. So, what is unchanging in your experience of life? Each of us has the capacity to go beyond, to transcend and live a life in which our current world simply can't conceive. That is the potential of the human experience and body. But we must overcome the lesser. We must overcome that which holds us back. And when we do this, we are gifted with the world. For the universe lies within you. All of life, each being is connected in this ground of silence, this stillness within ourselves. Is the path that leads us to the source in which we all share. Look within yourself from this point of observation and witnessing. What is your inner environment like? What happens when you shift your affection and your attention towards the silence, towards simple listening of this outside world, whether it be my voice or the wind? What happens when you try to feel the air around you while you remain still? Concentration is just a fancy word for affection, because in truth, our concentration is simply another word for our attention. And what truly powers our attention is our affection, our love, our desire, our entertainment, our enjoyment by something. So fall in love with yourself as this silent, pure, calm, unchanging witness. For when we fall in love with ourselves as we truly are, the body soon realizes the master in this relationship. What does it sense? What do you see? What do you hear internally? When you're more focused on yourself than the thoughts and emotions and sensations, they silence themselves. Because even the thoughts and body know our pureness, our pure self, is more than that, an entertainment that the body needs. And in truth, it's the only entertainment the body wants. Everything else in our physical world of materialism is just a lesser form, and more importantly, an incomplete form. Just like a child who doesn't like the taste of certain vegetables, they're not going to want to eat them. But as we grow, we learn, we understand, and we change our methods and approaches, and they become enjoyable, beyond palatable. We seek them out. And this is no different. It may seem tasking, it may feel impossible, but with consistency, it becomes easier and easier to see and recognize and tap into what the flow of what we are, how life is, when we allow it to be and grow on its own. Sink deeper into yourself and lay witness to the beauty that lies within. Shift your attention away from the loud, the aggressive, the hostile, the negative, the excuses, the enjoyments and satisfactions. Because until you establish yourself as this silence, this pure self, your mind, your emotions, and your body aren't your friends yet. They still want to bully you into the position of dominance so that they can run the show, leading you astray, leading you to fulfill the lesser desires. But how quickly it changes its tune when it realizes everything it's been searching for outside of itself is within. Allow yourself to marinate and rest within yourself, this pure and silent being, the stillness within, the stillness you are. And that concludes our meditation this morning. And as with everything, that we've been working on in these guided meditations and the words and pointers that I really always recommend, it takes time, because it's taken you years, decades for many, of constant repetition and reinforcement of the false. These concepts, these ideologies, these past pains, the traumas, the successes that go to our head, betrayals. Life has so many different examples of the avenues of delusion that can set in. But we must always come to recognize that we are beyond these things. That time is something that we experience how we experience. 20 hours can go by like 15 minutes could feel like 40. It's anyone who's been to the DMV can can see how quickly time can just, or slowly rather, how time can go by. Or when you're in the moment, how fast it can. It's consciousness, life. We take it for granted. We overlook it. We overlook the true power of it because of what society tells us we should. But when we look at life experientially, the truth is always revealing itself to us. But we have to question it. Many of us will dream and still feel that sense of me in a completely ridiculous situation. And unless you're like a lucid dreamer, an astral projector, you don't question it. You just live life like, oh wow, yeah, that's me. Yeah, that's my eye. And when you wake up, you're like, oh, well, that was interesting. But in that moment, you had no recognition. and you just went with the flow as this I. Yet, how many of us question that upon waking up? The famous line of, I dreamt I was a butterfly, and when I awoke, I was a man. So I question if I'm dreaming to be a man or a butterfly. Like those come up, those types of, deep philosophical points come through this type of looking. They come through what's real here. That determining your own truth through your own sense of understanding of it. And personally, it's the most beautiful journey. It's the most rewarding journey and task any of us can take up because you outgrow pains, you transcend them so they're no longer things. You're able to see and catch yourself. You're able to look within and not be phased, not be led away with negativity. You're able to see things for what they are. And it's like everyone searches for this their whole life through different types of degrees, through different jobs, through people, through things, various experiences, but none of them matter because ultimately what we're always searching for is who the hell is the person living this life? What am I? What is true? What is truth? That's the stuff that people fail to get. Is that the search, truth, or liberation, everything we want, it doesn't lie outside of us. It lies within us. And when you're ready to ask these questions, when you're really like looking into the more spiritual aspects of life, that is a signal of life telling you, hey, you're ready. Let's get it going. You got enough experiences under your belt to look through. And most of us, actually, I correct myself, all of us have enough insights and information to free ourselves. But not everyone is mature enough. That's true. Not everyone is ready to let down their jackets of personhood. But we can't worry about anyone else in this search. We can only focus on ourselves. We can only look at ourselves. Here, something needs to be understood. You're more, and have always been more, than what people and society and your books have told you and taught you, especially in the Western culture. And in Eastern culture, we need to understand that the limitations and ceilings set forth by the past teachers of the past. We are in a new transformative era and age. Do not adhere yourselves to old teachings strictly. See them for the truth they are, but realize they are limited in their growth and understanding. Because we are always changing, we are evolving beings, and just as much as the East in the past, we need to see that we always are going to be growing and moving forward. We always have to be kind of pushing that understanding, that evolution of how we see things. And without doing such, we hinder and cripple our future gains, our future opportunities and potentials, because we're not listening to life. This has come up in a lot of conversations this weekend, so I figure I might as well put it here. Um, the role of the child, because we've forgot about that in society. We really have. Most people don't want kids because they don't know what to do with them. And some people have kids because they think that's what they're supposed to do, but again, they don't know what to do. The role of children in life, it's three pronged if you want to think about it. The first, again, is obvious. It's to continue the race, continue the population so, we can grow and live. That's just self explanatory. The second is to really heal the family. And what I mean by this is stopping the cycles. So when you see, family who's like they have alcoholism, they're substance abusers, they're just really materialistic, they're neglectful and abusive, you know what I mean? Like all these different things that different families have. We as the children, we have the responsibility to stop the cycles, the negative cycles of our past and our ancestors, our parents, their parents, of the emotional, the mental, physical hangups. That's our duty as kids. That's our duty as being born. It's our responsibility and the respect we must show to our ancestors and those who literally paved the way for us through their sacrifices. Because we, as the children, we're fundamentally practicing evolution in life. We're living life going down, traveling, and our parents were born in a certain set and their parents were born in a certain set, and everything kind of reaches and grows and grows and grows, and then for them, they fade away, their capabilities drop, and then we have to pick up the torch and move forward. But to do that with the full integrity of what we can be as kids, as children, because we're all kids, is to see the wrongs that our parents and forebears made and to correct them. And that's the power and opportunity that we each have when we really come to see what we are, this truth, this silence. It's beautiful, but it takes courage. It takes humility to really question those who you looked up to when you were, younger, who you learned how to people from, and to really question everything they've done, and yourself included. Because again, you're just that echo, you're that ripple effect. And ultimately, the last role of the child. So again, you got the first two, evolution, just to continue the race, population. Second is to really end the cycles and or to heal the family. And the third, personally, the way I see it, because you could really just leave it at those top two. But the third is its own kind of subset of, or its own section of healing. But it needs to be understood in this sense where the role of the child, lastly, it's not only to kind of correct the cycles of the past, but to heal and establish new ones. So that's kind of like the only real thing. You could technically put those in the same category, but I always like to make a distinction between kind of healing the past and paving the future. So as you can see, I mean, they both stem from the fact that we kind of have to procreate to have life continue. So, it's all about, are we going to let that future life stop those negative patterns that have kind of crippled families? And are they going to pave the future for a better life for everyone? So ultimately, like, you can't do this stuff, folks. You can't, well, you can't. I shouldn't say you can't. No, I don't like speaking in absolute terms like that for these things, but it's going to make it so much easier to just live life, to do you, even if you have a failure in your eyes, that you can see it everything for what it is. It's not something that emotionally breaks you. It's not something that like deters you from acting upon things in the future. It breaks your heart. Goes beyond that. Like we've all been there. And when you like grow and learn to see things for what they are, it's just that you see it for what it is. You don't care anymore. You're just like, oh, okay, that's just a learning point. Got it. It's really funny. Um, I'll conclude with a little personal style or a story. I'm kind of a perfectionist in a lot of different things, and I had a music gig and it didn't go the way I wanted it to, obviously, because it was my first one since like I was a teenager. But it went well for other people, how they heard it and stuff. But again, for me, I'm everything had to be like dot the t's, cross the i's, because essentially the way I live too, pretty much flow, very little mistakes, very little chaos on that front. So when things like that happen, it was just like the resurgence. Because again, I'm human, folks. I'm not some like, oh, I try to tell people that all the time, even though it doesn't come off like that. Like, you know, that for me, it's like I haven't heard some of these thoughts that came up after that since I was like a teenager. And it was really funny for me because it came to the point where I was like, just stop, like internally. And all the thoughts just went away like that. Just, and then it was silence again. But compared that to, like, my teenage self, oh, I would have crippled myself internally. I, like many of us, am my harshest critic, and beyond, like, critique, like, destructive. That was my old conditioning, um, and because of that, it stopped me from so many different things in life, and that's like every one of us, when we live in fear, when we live in this doubt, these realms of unknown. So that's the importance of our search. That's really fundamentally why I do these meditations for people, because each is an opportunity to really just liberate yourself from some past hang up. And again, it just reveals more and more to that still silence of what we are. And through this, we can truly change the world. We can change ourselves. We can heal our families. We can heal our friends, our loved ones, help them grow, inspire them. And ultimately, the reason for this month of August, this awakening theme, has been because most people are doing things to, they want to live life and get this and do this and be happy with that. But none of it matters if you don't know who you are. And I'm going to say that again. Nothing you do matters until you determine who you are. Ultimately, that may bother some people, but you have to see this logically. You have to see this from the pure bones of what it is. Yourself doing other things can get you caught up in those other things as you. Because until you can identify what you are purely, fully, when I ask you, what are you? If you don't have an answer based on experiential knowing, witnessing, living, then it's just a concept, it's just a belief, and that's not it. Again, these meditations are meant to give you the opportunity so you can see these things yourself firsthand, so you can experience and grow and transcend and liberate yourself. But ultimately, it must be done for you to figure out you, because that's the only thing that matters. Nothing else that I say that isn't. I can tell people the truth all they want, but unless they come to know it, and unless they really are ready to hear it, then it's just words. So I really, 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 really hope that each of you has been inspired this month of August to really take the search deeper and go on that other level, because I'm going to be continuing them as the year goes on. Um, and some of them are actually going to be transitioned to more like group, like global peace and love and things like that. So, the for me as a teacher, the awakening stuff, I do this as a job. I help people awaken and or heal the wounds of the heart, transcend, whatever you want to call it. Um, but ultimately, there's a lot more work that can be done with the global kind of focuses on healing and love. So I'm going to try to stray away from doing so much of the awakening meditations. Although for me, they're not repetitive at all, but it's just for the routine and the schedule, it might just be a little bit easier to kind of do these more so sporadically, um, and in person as well. So if you haven't really come to determine who you are and you fully know and rest and reside in that space, in that knowing, listen to some of these meditations. Continue to question. If there's anything you learn from me this month, well, at least I hope, it's the fact that you have the power to change your life whenever and however you want. Because you're not only the chains of servitude and bondage, You're your keys of liberation and freedom. And that's the biggest lesson here, is that this is a game of the self. You come into this world and, experience it from this one reference frame. But when you really transcend that understanding and really go to beyond, well, maybe I'm more than just a singular thing, then life can really open up for you in many, many ways. And that is the ultimate truth for each of us, is that, we have the potential and power to free ourselves and to heal ourselves and to liberate ourselves. But we have to take those steps within. And we can only come to see what we are when we eliminate what we're not. And when we're seeing that pure self for the first time, just simply bask in it and come to really recognize and know this is you all the time. And everything else has been distractions, misidentifications. And ultimately, we each can come to live and flow with life as life in this sense of space within. And it's pretty cool. I mean, if that's not a sales pitch enough. But I hope you guys have had great meditations this month. I hope this was insightful meditation, that you were able to really feel the space within yourself, and see that as the aroma of your pure being, this silent, still, just nothing, this space, this everything and all things and nothing at all, right? So enjoy your weekend, have a great day, and make it a great start to your week. It's been Peter from Full Spectrum Performance, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye. Bye, Instagram.